So my mom got me a birthday present, and she was like, I know you'll like it. I know you love things like this. It's Tell me how much you like it."
You're like a very
Gasky.
what's the word I'm looking for? Overly attentive, concerned cat parent.
Yeah. But I think it's okay. You know, I just don't want to be cats, dogs, pet, whatever your pet is. I think that you should treat them with as much care as you would treat any
Totally.
other living being.
Totally.
And when I hear a distant meow, sometimes cats lock themselves in a closet or get locked in a pantry or get locked in a bathroom or whatever
Mm.
because they go in places and then. Okay, we gotta keep you over here. Yeah, I don't want to be the cat parent that's in any way neglectful, especially when it could be causing them any distress.
Mm.
So I love my cats.
It's such a nice cat.
He's my sweetheart. You know, me and him have the same birthday.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's
I didn't know
awesome.
that when we got him. We took him home, and then they have a microchip, and we looked we looked him up, and they told us his birthday was in July, and it's in June. Same birthday as me.
Nice.
So we celebrated it together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What'd you get him for his birthday?
That photo album. He loves it. He got extra treats. They do get Christmas presents, to be fair. We have a little cat stocking where we put a bunch of cat toys in there, and then on Christmas they get all their toys.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm never going to have kids, so this is as close as I'll get. Yeah. Yeah, so it was my birthday on Wednesday. That was fun.
Yeah. So here's the deal.
Uh-huh.
I want you to know something
What do you want me to know?
about the fact that I did not wish you happy birthday.
Oh, I didn't want you to wish me happy birthday.
Oh.
I mean,
Why?
because I don't know your birthday.
Oh, okay.
I literally have no idea.
Okay.
And I don't mean that because I don't care about you. I just
No.
it's not. Sometimes I learn people's birthdays pretty late.
Yeah, this was what I was about to try to explain. Is that I can't remember anybody's birthday.
Mhm.
It took me like 8 years of marriage before I knew Leslie's birthday off the top of my head. I had to write it down every year.
Was it the day or the year that really was harder?
It was the day.
Okay,
It
so
was
the
the
year
day.
was easy.
Yeah. Well, years are pretty easy.
Yeah. But dude, there's a place in Austin that I drive by. I've driven by 1,000 times called Archery Country.
Oh yeah. I've
And it's
driven
right
by
on
there.
183.
What do they got there?
They should have bows.
Oh, okay.
And they have a range. It's not huge, but we went there in the middle of the day on a Wednesday. It's $25 a person for an hour. And it's not like a shooting range where you have like a limited supply of ammo. You just shoot your arrows and you go pick them up.
That's pretty cool.
And it was a fucking blast.
I want to do that.
We should go. It's
Yeah.
so reasonably priced
Yeah.
and really fucking fun.
Did you know how to shoot a bow?
I've shot a bow before. I used to have a composite bow because when I was 16, I was like, I'm going to buy a bow.
Okay.
Stupid.
Yeah.
And then I've shot a bow at Ren Fair.
Okay.
But it's a recurve bow, which is the most basic, like what you think of when you think of a bow. And it's one of those things that like a lot of times when I do things, I'll get a feel for it pretty quick. It wasn't until like the end of that hour that I was like, a couple of my shots were feeling like, okay, that felt right.
Yeah, I
Like,
think shooting a bow is really hard.
It's pretty tough to get right. But it's fucking fun and we should do it. And like both me and Grace, after our first, I give you 6 arrows, after our first round of shooting those 6 arrows, we're both like, we should buy one. Like she wants to do it in our backyard. I'm like, I don't think that's the best idea. She's like, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's a little scary. That's a little worrying
It is.
because
Me and her have different sensibilities
What if
about a lot of
you-
things. I have
yeah.
so much anxiety, bro.
I think that's an appropriate thing to have anxiety about.
Yeah, what if you? One of the things at the archery range was it's a very common thing to accidentally, when you're pulling it back, lower your arm, and when you lower your arm, the arrow goes up. and then
Yeah.
sometimes you release, and there are arrows stuck in the ceiling at the archery range that prove just that.
Right.
And yeah, I don't want to kill someone or a
Yeah.
dog.
Right.
I don't know how to talk her out of it. She's pretty stubborn.
I mean, you can. This would be more expensive, but you would have to like put some sort of covering over where you're shooting.
Never gonna happen.
It's
Never gonna happen.
it's so dangerous.
Yeah, I'm just gonna convince her that we should just go to the archery range
Yeah.
or LARP arrows. Because
Mm.
one of the things we do is we go to a LARP. Well, we started to go to a LARP last year, so we want to go every year. And archeries and LARPs is just archery in real life. Like you're using real bows, but you're shooting these like foam tipped arrows that have like this big, basically the size of this microphone tip
Mm-hmm.
on the end that just like they hit pretty hard. Like if you get hit in the face, it kind of sucks ass. And we could just get those in practice because that's still fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of awesome.
Archery's dope, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go there.
Yes, 100%. We should do that and chicken sandwiches because, man, I feel like me and you have such a love for chicken sandwiches that I feel like we need to do like a chicken sandwich diary where we make videos on our favorite chicken sandwich places.
Yeah.
Um,
I want to do something like that, but I just don't know. We're gonna eat a chicken sandwich and we're gonna say chicken sandwich is good,
yeah.
and that's it.
Have you watched TikTok? That's all people do. You know,
I don't really watch TikTok.
well,
so,
I don't.
know.
So one thing I don't like is when people. This is a very common thing. People on TikTok. I'm playing with these coasters. When people on TikTok, they make guides and they're like, "This is everything you should eat in Japan," and it's like they just went to Japan and ate a bunch of food, and they were like, "This is what you should be doing." Like, how would you fucking know? You, like these are the places you need to stop. Like, what are you talking about? Why are you making a guide on something that you are just doing for the first time? And it extends to recipes more than anything, where people are like, let me show you a tutorial on how to make the best chicken sandwich. And they're clearly pulling from a recipe and just like doing it.
Right.
And like pretending it's like it's theirs. And sometimes they'll be like, I'm using this recipe. But why? You're not giving me a tutorial. Just show me you doing it, but stop making it a tutorial.
I mean, I would only assume it's because tutorials get more views.
Yeah, but it's disingenuous.
Oh yeah, that's everything on the internet right now. Like we've talked about this about how our last episode where you said we're ashamed felt kind of clickbaity. It didn't feel clickbaity to me. It felt kind of funny. It's a little bit clickbaity.
It comes off as clickbaity if you just see it,
Right.
but we're literally talking about we're being ashamed of being fat, so it's not clickbait.
But that's everything. Like that's how people game these algorithms, like the YouTube algorithm and TikTok is they just do the thing that they know is going to get views. And dude, okay, perfect example. I was looking for Diablo builds, and the same thing happens in Destiny. At most big games, it's just all the most obscene clickbait titles of all caps, some guy going like this. You won't believe this damage, and it's everywhere.
Dude, broken build? Question mark?
Right.
Dude, it drives me up a fucking wall.
Oh, I can't stand it.
I hate those thumbnails. I hate fluff videos. I watch a lot of TikTok.
Fluff.
Yeah, fluff them up. So on TikTok, they do a similar thing with like new releases where they're like, I have found the most amazing farming spot in Diablo 4. I wanted to find the best place where you could farm the most elites and the most gear. And it's like, it's literally this for 10 minutes. And at 9 minutes and 58 seconds, they're like, it's this dungeon.
Yeah.
And I don't watch it because I just go to the comments and I'm like, I fucking hate this guy. It's this dungeon. It's okay. It drives me up a fucking wall,
It's
man.
crazy. And that's all it is.
I don't want to say I'll never do. I will really try never to be that. I don't want to cater to algorithms.
I don't either.
I hate it.
Me too.
I just want to make stuff that we're having. Like, this is just us having fun, man.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. If we find success, cool. If we don't, cool.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Is like we intended to make a gaming podcast. And I still think we are, but it's I don't know. Maybe we do cut them into two pieces.
Yeah, well, right now I think the I think what we're getting that's resonating with people is just us talking about life stuff.
Yeah,
The
but
the the problem I think with our gaming stuff is that we probably need to do more focused gaming content. I think just generally talking widely about games isn't all that appealing to people
yeah,
unless we're already like established in
yeah,
that area.
yeah, and I think that we'll like I don't know. Maybe one day we'll have more time to focus on more topical things. I would like to talk like this week is we just had Summer Games Fest last night. There
Oh
was
yeah,
some releases.
definitely want to talk about those.
Okay. Um,
There's a few I'm very excited
but then
about.
like this coming Sunday and Monday, like they just put up a we'll talk about it later. But there's news stuff that I would like to talk about as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We're gonna keep messing with the format
Yeah.
and seeing what feels best. But I think it's fine to just talk about bullshit and get to the games and do whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, eventually today we're also going to talk about our book club book from a Buick 8,
Mhm.
which I'm pretty excited to talk about. And then maybe we'll come up with a new recommendation. I have a couple. I'm just not quite sure. Maybe we want to stray away from horror because we did 2 horror books, but I fucking love horror books.
Yeah.
But maybe not another Stephen King one.
Probably not another Stephen King one. But yeah, we can discuss it.
Yeah. What have you been up to the past week?
Playing Diablo and
Yeah.
working.
Working.
Um. Yeah, that's it.
Very good.
That's all I've been doing.
Yeah.
What about you?
Looking for jobs and playing Diablo. Man,
How's the job hunt
job
going?
hunt sucks, dude.
It's brutal, dude.
Yeah. I finally heard back from one person that I'm going to do like a week's worth of work for this month, which is great. It's something. But otherwise, man, painful.
Man.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It sucks.
it's all there is to it.
It's
I'm looking at those, Chick-fil-A $19 an hour positions and I'm like, free chicken sandwiches and money.
You know, I've thought about this. If I really don't want to go back into tech when my contract is over, but I need money,
Mhm.
that I might have to just go back into food service. But there is something I get so embarrassed when I think about what if somebody I know from like Rooster Teeth walks in there and I have to serve them. Like
Totally.
I was like knocking on the door of senior leadership and now I'm serving coffee from somebody. That would be so fucking embarrassing. And
But the thing is that it shouldn't be,
no, it shouldn't be. Of course not.
which is I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Happens every single podcast.
Yep. People with jobs can buy new mic arms. Oh man. What
Yeah,
else?
no, you're right. It shouldn't be embarrassing. But it is, and I can't control that feeling.
Mm,
Well, I probably could with a lot of therapy, but I don't have enough money to buy therapy.
yeah.
So it's a little catch 22.
I mean, that's a pretty common thing in like LA or Hollywood where a lot of actors who are working in between jobs will just have normal dude jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's totally fine. But yeah, it's got to be a weird feeling to be like recognizable and then also in food service
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
There was just like a story about that where there was like this famous actor from a show, and it was like kind of like it was like kind of like a shame piece. Of like he was so famous, and now he's working at Chili's, and
It's fucked up.
but then he got a bunch of jobs off of it, so he's like, haha, motherfuckers.
Good for that guy.
Yeah, totally. It's really fucked up though.
Not that there's anything wrong with food service because I worked in food service for many, many years.
Yeah,
I didn't like it.
I did.
Did you? I liked my coworkers,
Yeah,
but that was the only thing I liked.
I
About
don't
it.
like customer facing stuff, but if I was just cooking, I think I would like it, honestly. I was even thinking recently of like, man, I went to this food truck when I was traveling, and it was just this guy that goes to different towns based on the day of the week, and he just all he does is serve pizzas. That he has a pizza oven, and he has like a flavor of the week and a few staples, and people come and visit him, and it just seemed like a really like it seemed so chill. and nice.
Hi, Solaire. Hello.
You got cats. So I picked him up the other day, and I just heard
Did he fart on you?
fucking farted. So stinky, bro.
Oh, that's awesome.
Good boy. Yeah, I don't know what we were talking about. Food service. I
You were thinking about.
yeah, I saw that trailer and I'm like, man, that seems like such a good job. Like people just love your
Mhm.
food. They come and see you, and you sell them pizza. I don't know how much money he's making, but he's his own boss. He makes pizza all day.
I mean, presumably, if you are operating a successful food truck that's good, that people like, you can make a living.
Yeah, presumably.
Otherwise, people wouldn't do it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's also a very Austin thing. There's a lot of food trailer parks around here,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I consider that. I'm like, that could be fun.
Yeah.
I've also always kind of wanted to be like, just like a medieval tavern keep, just be the guy behind the bar, like polishing up the mugs of beer. I don't know what this symbol is. Maybe me polishing it. It looks a little strange. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be cool. I did like, man, there's something very attractive about the idea of running a play like an establishment that's successful enough to make a living, but not so busy that you're just busy all the time and stressed
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
That you can have time to just joke around with people and talk to people and
Yeah. Just talk to the regulars and
yeah,
polish the glasses.
yeah, yeah, like this. I worked at a place in college that I I really loved, and I wouldn't have. I may not have ever quit that job if I didn't move,
Mm-hmm.
and or they didn't close down because they closed down like many years later. But it was this just this husband and wife that owned this um, breakfast restaurant, and they lived above it, and that was one of the best jobs I've ever had
Really?
because it was just like that. I mean, we definitely had really busy days, but then outside of the rush, it was just I would go out on the porch and hang out with people and smoke cigarettes, and because I was smoking cigarettes in college, um, and and yeah, it was fucking awesome, so cool.
Chill jobs are the best, man.
Yeah, and we did a lot of drugs, and that was one of the most fun things about that job is about 1 to 2 hours before it closed, let's start smoking weed.
Wow. Yeah. Makes cleaning the grill a lot more fun. That's for sure.
It definitely did.
Jeez, man. Yeah, I miss the day. Like one of my favorite things was when we worked at Rooster Teeth, and we would just take breaks, go sit out in the back, and just chat.
Yeah,
Uh, that I miss that a lot. I miss like having coworkers.
yeah,
Coworkers are great. I don't. That's like the only. How the fuck do you make friends as an adult
yeah. It's really hard.
outside of work?
It's really hard.
Yeah, I talked to Grace about this, and she gets pretty mad at me. She's like, "You need to go do something about it." I'm like, "But what?" Like, yeah, I could go to I look at Emerald Tavern because I
Mhm.
like board games, and they have stuff like a Magic Draft or another game I don't play thing, and I'm like, I feel weird going to events where I'm totally inexperienced in the thing, going into like an established community of people,
Hmm.
and then sometimes he's so cute. Sometimes we'll go to Emerald Tavern together, and she'll be writing on her laptop, and I'll bring a board game and just play solo. But all the time, like, I wish someone would just come up and ask me to play board games with them.
Yeah.
But I'm not approachable like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say the really unfortunate thing is you do not look like an approachable person,
I
even
know.
though you're the most approachable person.
Yeah, I feel like I'm very friendly.
You are. You're
But,
extremely
but I
outgoing
don't
and
look
friendly.
it. I don't think.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Which is that sucks.
I think in some ways, I think it works for me because when people have a pre-established notion about me and they're like, he's scary, and then I'm really nice, they're like, oh wow, he's the nicest guy ever, even though I'm
Mhm.
just normal levels of nice,
Mhm.
because they
Mhm.
think I think I'm gonna like fucking eat them, and instead I'm nice. They're like, he's so great, he could have eaten me, but instead he's just really nice.
Right. It's the dichotomy of the situation.
Yeah, man. I stopped watching Silo.
Did you?
Yeah, did you?
I'm one episode behind, I think.
Okay. I mean, I don't know how many are out.
Are you
6
not
now?
gonna finish it?
It's so boring, man.
No, it's not. Don't be dumb and finish Silo.
What episode is it on now?
I think 7 is the one I was gonna watch this morning.
Okay.
I'm not.
So I'm on 5. Yeah.
What do you mean it's boring? It's
I
so
haven't-
interesting.
Dude, 4 was a snooze fest. We talked about that.
Did you watch 5?
Is 5 good?
What did I just? Okay, I need to hang on. I think I just watched episode 6, and 6 ends with like uh a bit of a peek behind the veil
Okay.
of what's going on.
Well, that's good. I'm assuming it's going to be 8 episodes like every dumb series now.
Yeah, why do they do that?
I don't know. It's too short.
Yeah.
Especially for a first season, you're like, great. We just started the show and now it's over. Wait another couple years.
I really don't understand how you think it's boring.
Because it's the first 3 was a filler episode, 4 was a boring filler episode.
All the episodes are establishing the characters
Yeah.
and showing you insight into the characters as well as having relevant, pertinent information.
Yeah, I just feel like 4 was really slow, man. I know that you're incredulous that I can have a different opinion. But
I'm not incredulous. It's just that it's boring seems like the wrong adjective for that show. I think, man, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe what I think your opinion should be.
well, so I mean, here's the other thing: is like, if I had nothing else to do in my free time, I would probably watch it. But as it stands, there's a lot of video games to be played, and although I can watch or listen to books while I play games, I have trouble watching TV shows, especially ones that, part of their appeal is the sci-fi nature of them. They look cool, and I definitely wouldn't be doing the show justice by watching it on like a side monitor.
Yeah.
So,
That's
but
fair.
I'll continue watching it. at
No,
some
you don't
point.
have to. I don't want you to be bored.
It's just gonna be a couple hours of my life. Sorry, I watch other things that are boring too. So
No, I mean, if you don't want to finish the show, we don't have to finish it.
no, I'll keep. If you really think it's getting good,
Well, I think it already was good, so maybe me thinking it's getting better is not necessarily the glowing recommendation that you're looking for.
I'll try it. I'll still try it.
One day, and not soon, but one day, maybe if our channel is more established and we can afford to do something like this,
Mhm.
I want us to watch the show From. I think I've mentioned
You
this show
said
to
how
you.
bad it is.
It is just about the worst television show I've ever seen in my life, but it's so bad that it has become one of my favorite shows. I love this show.
Have you watched all of it?
We're working our way through season 2 right now.
Jeez, man.
It's so fucking stupid that we're watching it and Mystery Science Theatering it, and that's been so fun to do.
Was this the one with like the one you said like the corporate guy? In the beginning
No,
of the first episode, of the different show.
Oh my god, that was awful. No, the conceit of From is that these people drive into this town, but once you drive into this town, you can't ever escape it. It's a really actually very interesting concept, and it's a horror show. And at night in this town, there are these creatures that look like humans that just will slowly follow you everywhere.
That's a cool concept.
Oh, it's a really cool. I started watching it because I was interested in the show, and for the first few episodes, you're genuinely interested. There's some dumb things. They don't really fully unveil the full dumbness of the show until about midway through season 1. And when I say dumbness, it's the people who made Lost. They're doing all of the same things where they just ask question after question after question and never answer anything. But
why are you doing it to yourself again?
Because now I know what's happening. I know nothing's ever going to be answered. I know no question will be answered, and I know that when they try to inevitably answer it at the end, it will be so dumb that I'm prepared for it. So now we watch it with the perspective of this show is stupid. The writers have no idea what they're doing or where the show is going. And we get to just laugh at all the insane shit that they put in this show. There's this one scene. Okay, I just want to just to explain how dumb this is. There's this scene in the middle of season 1, and there's a guy there that's a pastor. These people have been stranded there for years, and he's running church. It's so conceited and stupid. But at one point, he's panicking because some big story element is happening, and he goes to this field and he starts digging something up. And what he digs up is a plastic bag with half a bottle of whiskey, a chocolate bar, and a box of something. So he purposely buried these three. Who buries a chocolate bar? And
someone on a diet.
And then he took the box and left the other two things.
Really?
So what did you bury the whiskey for? And then this is gonna spoil it. There's spoilers for the stupid show. The dude fucking dies. And you never find out what any of that was about.
Oh, so you don't know what's in the box that he took?
You know what's in the box, but it comes into play, but you never know what it is. Like it's an object, but they never explain anything.
Great.
All the time we're just
awesome.
like,
I wonder what the reveal on the chocolate bar will be later in the later seasons.
And then this is the last thing I would say about it. This had me absolutely dying. In one of the first episodes in season 2, a new group of people shows up, and it's a bus full of people. And the bus rolls into town, and one guy turns to another guy that's been living in the town. He goes, "You ever seen anything like this before?
You ever see something like this?"
Nope.
A bus? Have you never seen a bus before? What are you talking about?"
I'm so confused.
And then
when is this set?
Like current
and
now
how
times.
long have they been there?
Like a couple of years.
100 years.
Yeah, they've clearly seen a bus. Everybody has known everybody here knows what a bus is. And there's weird bus things all throughout season 2. Like one of the new old ladies talks to one of the main characters, and he asks, she says, "I've come here on a bus," and he says, "Oh, was it a charter bus?" And she says, "It had 4 wheels and a door."
Is it a charter bus?
I don't know. It was a bus. It had wheels and a door and tickets you had to buy.
Like, those are not the defining characteristics of a bus. What are you talking about?
Man.
This show is crazy.
Dude.
So, anyway.
I'll watch. That sounds fun, and I will watch it eventually. There's so much on my fucking watch list now.
Yeah. If you and Grace would enjoy, like, Mystery Science Theatering shit.
We do.
It's a great show to do that with.
Yeah.
Because there are some bafflingly stupid things that happen in the show.
I love being able to pause at home because then I can
too.
just talk so much shit.
It's we do the same thing.
So my mom got me a birthday present. Let me just go get it.
Okay.
So my mom got me a birthday present, and she was like, I know you'll like it. I know you love things like this. Tell me how much you like it."
Okay. Now
it is a cat shirt that says with a cat wearing sunglasses. It's a picture of a cat wearing or art of cat wearing sunglasses, and it says, "I do what I want."
Now,
she also got Grace a matching one.
Do you like it?
Love it. Probably the best shirt I've ever gotten.
Did you tell your mom that you didn't like it?
She'll know now. She watches this. I told her, "I appreciate the thought." And she goes, "Ha ha ha, I'm so glad, but I just want to know if you like it." And I go, "Love you."
Oh my God.
Dude, she buys me the craziest fucking gifts, man. Like, for Hanukkah, she bought me I don't even know where she found it. It's like a base that's like a light, and there's these little cutout vinyl things that are just clear vinyls with etched images of Star Wars characters that you put on them, and it casts a light up. So I put them in the kitchen for a while. They were there for months, and Grace was like, "We're gonna move these."
Awesome.
Oh man, yeah. My mom was mad I don't talk about her enough. So here you go.
Man.
Did I tell you? Did I tell you the story about my mom when she was talking about her family member?
I don't know. I don't think so.
When I went to visit, she was like casually bringing it up at the breakfast table. Yeah, I have an aunt, and she's pretty old, and she can't hear anymore, and she's, kind of just waiting to die. Bye bye. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, that is so flippant. And then that was the day we were leaving, and then she texted me when we get to the airport. Like at some point when we're at the airport, she's like, "She's dead." You got the fucking evil eye, man. Don't ever bring me up.
That's so awesome.
Dude, it's so crazy, man. Mom was a fucking character, dude.
Yeah, your mom sounds like a character.
Someone described her as a Seinfeld character, one of our friends, because he met her, and I'm like, you're totally right. At my wedding, my mom is very into yoga. It's like her thing. She actually got a certification recently to become a yoga teacher. It's her thing, and I'm very happy for her because she loves it. And at my wedding, it was a 10-person wedding, so just immediate family. And Grace's mom had a local chef that owned a restaurant come and cater it with him and a couple of his people that work for him. She walks up to the dude with dreads and just goes, "Namaste." Just picked him out of the crowd.
That is seriously like Seinfeld.
It sounds so fake.
That's
and I walked
amazing.
up and I put my hands on her shoulder and I go, "I'm sorry. She has no boundaries." I turned her around like, "Come with me."
Amazing.
So embarrassing, dude.
Oh man, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I love shit like that.
Dude. She drives Uber. She'll constantly be like, "Adam, I was driving this guy and I told him who you were and he knows Rooster Teeth." And I'm like, "Dude, please stop telling people that who I am or that you have a son that works at a place that they might know." Because great, one person might know who I think of the thousands of people she's brought that up to. Like, my son worked at this place one time. And they're like, "Cool." It's so embarrassing. But we live.
Why is that embarrassing?
Because we just live to be embarrassed. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I get it's parents have an ability to embarrass you. Like, I find that endearing. I think that's awesome and hilarious. And stuff like walking up to a guy in dreads saying namaste is I would kill to see that.
It's so embarrassing.
I would love to see
So
that.
embarrassing.
Because I absolutely I love people who are characters. It's so awesome.
Yeah, next time my mom visits, you should meet her. My one friend was like, "When your mom visits, I have to fucking be there," and he was. And he was like, "Oh my god." I mean, yeah, she's a whole lot, dude.
That's awesome.
But
well, here we go. We talked about her.
Yeah,
some more.
A lot of really nice things to say. She's a very nice person. She's she always says this thing to me. Whenever like I say something funny, she goes, "You got that from me, right?"
Kind of sounds like maybe you did.
Drives me fucking crazy.
Oh man.
Do your family members, when you visit them, every time you visit them, and they've never visited you, do they say, "You never visit us," or "You don't visit enough"?
Yeah.
That is so annoying.
Yeah, but my parents don't visit very often, but they do visit sometimes.
My mom will visit occasionally. My dad visits like every 5 years. but like it's my dad doesn't do this, but my mom and my mom's side of the family, anytime I would come and visit, it's always like, yeah, you're not really a good family member. You don't visit enough. And I don't know what it is. It's everyone on my mom's side.
Yeah.
And it makes me be like, "Oh, I'm never gonna visit again."
Yeah, they say that because they want you around more without understanding that saying that tends to make people around less.
Dude, it costs me a lot of money to visit,
Yeah.
and most of the time, all they talk about is why I don't visit. because because of this.
Yeah. My parents have gotten better about it because because I've tried to make a concerted effort to be there a little bit more often.
Mhm.
But and they don't live that far away, but I hate driving. I hate driving so much.
You do? I love it.
Driving is the worst thing I think I do in my life on a daily basis.
In the
I
city,
I hate
sure.
being in a car. I hate driving, period.
Yeah.
And they live up in DFW, and
It's kind of a
that
pain in the ass drive.
that drive is so awful, because it's not like the drive you can set cruise control and drive. You have to always pay attention because there's always fucking wrecks and there's always maniacs driving like crazy people, swerving in and out of traffic. The highway is speckled with weird Jesus posters all the way there.
Hey, you're driving through Waco, right?
Yeah. And giant trucks with Trump flags will cut you off. I mean, it's crazy.
It's a bad drive. I've only made it a few
And
times, and I'm like, that's not fun.
and it's so ugly because all of North Texas is so fucking ugly.
Yeah.
And to top it off, the drive is unpredictable. Sometimes I can drive there in 3 hours. Sometimes it takes 5
That's crazy.
because of how much traffic there is.
Yeah. Not fun.
And for somebody who I hate driving so much, it is like I can feel when I have to make that drive, I start getting like major anxiety because of how much I hate driving. Like leading up, like in the days leading up. Like I'll lose sleep because I hate being in the car that long.
Damn.
Yeah.
We're different in that way. I really love most of our vacations that we take. We're doing a road trip.
Oh man.
Like we went to New Zealand, and we drove around the whole North Island. Same with Scotland. Same
Yeah.
with the last trip we took. It's just I like driving. And I'll just do it all.
I wish I did.
Yeah.
I really, really hate it. Yeah, I don't know. It just sucks. My mom told me that as a baby, I never cried, ever, until the second I was put in a car, and then I cried until I got out of a car.
Wow.
So there is something about driving that is just part of my psyche that that my brain just doesn't like.
So when you were one of my favorite things as a kid was my dad and I would go on road trips, not often, but often enough where we'd be in the car for several hours, and like the sleep you get in a car as a passenger is like the best sleep. And for me, that was
Oh, get terrible sleep in a car
that's crazy.
because
Yeah.
I hate being in a car.
Yeah. I don't sit in the back seat of any cars because I get sick, but
Yeah. Yeah.
well, speaking of cars, maybe we should talk about From Buick 8.
Yeah.
That was our book club book, and it's another Stephen King joint.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about From Buick 8?
So this was not the first time I read it.
Mhm.
So this is a reread for me, and I really, really like this book, and I know that we're going to get into probably how you didn't like it nearly as much as me. But the things that I really like about it are things that King always does well in these small town stories, where he just has this incredible ability to bring the characters to life so quickly and so completely.
Yes.
Um,
Everything from the names to
It-
like, the type of person they are, to
Yeah.
the cars they drive, to their little habits,
mhm.
their idiosyncrasies.
Yeah, it's you said that to me when we were playing games the other night where you said that the names were really incredible in this book, and I hadn't really thought about that so in as much as like because I noticed that, but I didn't really actually think about that,
Mhm.
and that's really true. I mean,
Dude, Matt Babicki, Curtis, what's his?
Curtis Wilcox,
Curtis Wilcox,
Sandy Dearborn,
like
Ennis
these are
Rafferty.
Ennis Rafferty. These are all like, names you've never heard, but that you feel like you've heard a million times.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I wonder if these are.
I'm
Well,
guessing
they're not. Are they Midwestern names? Or are they Northeastern names? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, he writes a lot about the Northeast, right?
Yeah, he's from Maine, I think.
Yeah. So
But I would presume that you would have heard some of these names.
like Ennis is like I think a Scottish name.
Mm.
Wilcox. I don't know. I haven't heard these names. They sound Midwestern to me,
Yeah.
but it's also written about Pennsylvania, and I'm from Pennsylvania, but I'm from the eastern part.
Yeah.
There it's the western Pennsylvania, but man, he does such a good job with camaraderie and like just like again, like with the last book, I was just like yearning for this life that they had between each other. Like they were so tight knit. And
Yeah.
they like had such a good friendship between all of them, even though they were just coworkers, and it seemed magical, even though it's not. Like it's really cool.
Yeah, I think part of that is it creates that yearning for a real sense of community, which
Mhm.
you can't have in like a city,
Mm-mm.
and you can only really have in those small town settings or in college or when you're younger and you live close to people.
Yeah.
And there's so much of that in all of his books that really drives home to me some of the sadness of living in a city and the isolation that comes to living in a city
Yeah.
that is really destructive. And I hate living in cities.
Yep.
I really hate cities.
Same.
I like visiting cities, but I don't like living in them.
Yeah.
Because like you and me, we live so far apart. Even though, really, we don't in terms of living far apart in Austin. But even like 30 minutes is kind of a long drive,
It is.
and we live in the same area of town, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an immense drive for being so close geographically. But yeah. But so you liked it a lot.
I did like it a lot. I found the mystery of the Buick compelling, even though they never really explicitly solved anything. And I think that's what I typically don't.
What is on you?
There was a bug.
No. What kind of bug?
I don't know. I just felt it on my neck.
Dude, where's the fucking bug?
I don't know, dude. Where did it even come from?
I don't know. Maybe we'll watch back the video and we'll just see like a spider slinking
That
around.
may give me some nightmares.
Yeah, now I'm really curious to watch this back and see like if we see it crawling on you at any point. I'm like, oh wow, it's a fucking poisonous stinging arachnid. Fuck.
What was I saying?
Good question. You found the mystery compelling, even though they didn't really solve it. But most of the time, you feel like that's not something you like.
Yeah, I tend to not like it when the mystery is open ended, but I man, I really liked it in this book because that was the point of the book.
I feel like they solved enough of it, but you're right. It is the point of the book where there is no answer.
Right, and that was an interesting part. It was sort of in the back half of the book where Sandy is talking to what was the kid's name?
Ned.
And he's getting upset at Ned because he's saying Ned just wants to know more about the mystery, and Sandy's trying to convey that this mystery is not it doesn't have answers, and it won't lead to answers for you or for why your dad died.
Right.
Because it's just part of life. It's a confusing enigma, and it is a mystery, but like not all mysteries have answers, and he's getting frustrated trying to explain this to Ned while Ned just wants
Totally.
more information.
Yeah, there was a good part where He was like, I want to hear the rest of the story. And someone says, like, you've already heard it. You just don't know it yet. You already know the
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah.
We should go back real quick to sort of establish what the story is.
Sure.
So there's a kid named Ned Wilcox, and his dad was a state trooper who was killed in an automobile. Like a drunk driver hit him while he was on the traffic stop. Killed him real bad. And then, Ned is struggling with the grief of this. And the state troopers are in touch with him because, his father was family to them. And so the current sergeant, sheriff, captain, what's the fuck's his title?
Sergeant, I think.
Sergeant. You're bugged out right now.
I am bugged out right now.
The sergeant basically reaches out to him as like, hey, before you go away to college, how about you come work as a dispatcher kind of unofficially with us? So he's like learning the ropes, sort of working through his grief, but just trying to keep himself busy. And one day he's out cleaning like the sheds or whatever, and he looks in a window and there's a car. And so he goes and asks, like, what is this car? And then basically everyone in the station sits down, and the majority of this book up until the very end is them recounting the story of the history of this car and their station. And to sum it up, basically this car showed up at a gas station one day with a driver, and the driver says, fill it up or whatever. The oil's fine is the thing they keep coming back to. He does the thing where he keeps repeating it, oil is fine, in his book. And I never made a connection to like, does that line have any significance? Because he kept repeating it. And I couldn't establish like, where does this fit? But anyways, that guy disappears. And so they just have this car. And they're like, well, we got to, report it. And then the more they look at the car, they're like, this doesn't make any sense. Like a lot of these things aren't the material they should be made out of. These are there's a glass muffler for some reason. The car won't start. The steering wheel is as big as a bus's steering wheel for some reason. Like the thing they said was like, the more you look at it, the more things are wrong about it.
Right.
And so they established that there's a mystery about this car. Like, what is this mystery?
And we're presuming people have read the book.
It's a book club.
Yeah.
This is what we do. We talk about the book we've read.
So yeah, this is all spoilers. Even though this book is kind of hard to spoil, because
they right in the beginning of the book they sort of lay everything out.
Right.
And although they tell you a few things over the course of it, there's no one thing I could tell you that would spoil the end of the book. I could spoil like a few hours into it, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, even telling you the end, what happens at the very end of the book doesn't really spoil the book, because the book isn't about the mystery. It's about the characters, and you only understand the characters when you read the book.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things I found so compelling about this book, is that it's doing the thing that Stephen King typically does, but ratcheted way up to the point where the Buick and the mysteries surrounding the Buick are almost tangential to what the book is really about. And it almost doesn't matter. It's a hook to get the readers in, but what really matters is Ned and the station and the troop and all the stories and lives they've lived there.
Yeah. And so like you're sort of basically the book is just them revealing what has happened with the car. So
Right.
like as they look more into it, they're like, this is not a car. It could never start. It's weird. The temperature starts going down randomly around the car, and then they start documenting these, like what do they call them? Light quakes.
Yeah,
Light
something like
quakes.
that.
So like basically like light is shooting out of the car that's so bright you can't really see what's going on. And that messes with the radios and the electronics. And then progressively, like things get more and more weird. And I think like the biggest reveal about the car is that like it starts to like spit out things that are similar to things in our world, but are not right. And the way they describe it is like we just like it spit out this thing, and we describe it as a bat, but only because we couldn't describe it as anything else.
Mhm.
Like it's not really doesn't really look like a bat, but we have to associate it somehow.
Right.
Otherwise, we'd go crazy. And so you kind of get pretty much immediately from that you get the idea, and like then he immediately confirms it, where like the characters have the same thought as you of like, oh, this is like kind of a portal to another dimension,
Right.
and it's sending stuff over. Presumably, the the officer who disappeared early on in the story, when the car came in, he went through the portal to the other dimension.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of the whole story is just like recounting tales of what happened with this car.
Yeah.
And his dad, Ned's dad, was really not I think he was obsessed with the car.
Mhm.
Wanted to run all sorts of tests on the things that came out of it, and
Mhm.
was probably the most authoritative on it.
So what did you think about the book?
Um, I thought that I again I really like characters that he writes. It's it's one of those like a book that you can see of like they film the whole thing in one setting because they don't ever go anywhere, which is fine. It's all just it's writing. It's a character piece. Like it's all about the characters. I felt like the car thing. They tell you very early on what it is, and although the things that the successive stories that they tell get more and more a little bit crazier, it never really that part of it never goes anywhere. And like you said, that's the point of the story. Like there is no solving the mystery. You already kind of know everything you're going to know about it from the get go.
Mhm.
And it's more about just hearing these people recount the stories, hearing about the lives they've had to live together and the tragedies that have befallen them. So I feel like it was maybe a little bit slow for me.
Yeah, I get that. So what really struck me when I was reading it was the compa- it's not really a comparison. What's the word I'm looking for? He The car and the mystery of the car and the why of the car is analogous to Ned's question of why did my dad die? And I think that that is to me was the main thrust of the story, which is what Sandy Dearborn all through his recounting was aware of that question and was trying to explain to Ned there is no why. It just is.
Yeah.
It's confusing and it makes no sense. It makes no sense why your dad was killed by a drunk driver randomly on the side of the highway in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Just like it makes no sense why a Buick drove into town and it's a portal to another dimension or world.
Right.
There is no answer for these things. You just live with them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really, I don't know, that was really compelling to me.
That's a good observation that those are analogous, and yeah, I do find it interesting. You just have to kind of going into something like that. You have to be more open that the story might not be about what you think it's about.
Yeah.
And I think initially I was like, oh, the Buick is the story, and then like the more you're like, okay, this isn't actually going anywhere,
Right.
which is fine. I like the ending. He did a weird little bit in the end where he sort of like is like Ned died essentially, but then he's like, just kidding, it wasn't Ned. He sold his car to someone else. I was like, that's a little weird.
Yeah. That is something you've probably read enough King at this point to know that dude has some weird endings. He'll just go off the rails at the end of books for seemingly no reason.
I haven't read enough King to know that yet.
Okay, so that is a thing in Stephen King where he will have this whole well-crafted story and then he'll put some crazy shit at the end of the book, like in It. Now,
I haven't read it. I've only watched the movie.
okay,
But dude, actually, that's what I almost was like, maybe we should read it, but maybe that's a later book club.
okay,
But
I won't say anything. But now, the weird ending impulses he's had were way worse when he was taking a lot of cocaine to write, which is when he wrote It.
Gotcha.
And that ending scene is, dude. But he still does that now. It's just more tempered now without the drugs.
Yeah.
But he'll still end books where you're just like, From a Buick 8 is very mild in that regard. But there was a recent book that he ended, and he this whole story, it had nothing to do with the story, and just in the end, he was like, oh, and this guy was a pedophile. And you're like, what? He just moves on and had no connection to the story.
Dude. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's so weird. It was fine. It just like it was a weird. It wasn't even that long of like a gotcha. It was like a few minutes. It was just like convincing you that the main character died.
Right.
But then he was like, just kidding. He sold his car to this guy, and that was the car who killed himself. I was like, what the fuck? And then the real ending was that the car couldn't sustain itself, and eventually would decompose into ruin, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I liked it. I didn't love it, but I
Fair.
also like when I was reading it, I was like, oh, I can definitely see why when you were reading the last book we read, Revival,
Mm-hmm.
why where those comparisons are drawn because it's so similar in so many ways.
A lot of similar vibes.
Did you get the feel like maybe this is because I just read Revival, but did you get the feeling that the deaths that weren't caused by disappearances were caused by the car?
Yeah, I feel like they alluded to that a little bit. Well, at least Sandy alluded to that, where he said something at some point, and I'm gonna butcher the way he wrote it, obviously, but it was something about how he felt like the car had reached out uh, to take out Curtis Wilcox because Curtis was getting too close, or was holding himself a distant enough where the car couldn't take him, because they kept imparting this sense that the car wanted you. It needed to eat in a sense, which eat in this story was pulling you into that other world and then pulling something from that other world into our world.
Yeah.
And Curtis was very drawn to the car, so it seemed to convey a sense that the car was getting some sort of vengeance on him by having him killed by the first human to interact with the car, which was Bradley Roach, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did come across as that car had some sort of will.
Yeah, and I mean, they did, when in the end of the story, they all leave the station after telling Ned everything that's happened, and simultaneously, basically, everyone that was involved has a feeling that they have to go back to the station because they know something's wrong. And of course, Ned is there trying to destroy the car, and that's sort of like the climax of the book.
Right.
But they make it very clear that like the car reached out to Ned, but they also got the call as part of that. So like it has some reach. So maybe
Yeah.
I definitely think it's. I mean, it would fit. I was trying to think of, you get a glimpse into the other world, which I found very interesting, and also there was a good bit of satisfaction there when you found like the neo-Nazi guys, bully guys, his stuff. That was cool. And then they left a lot of wonder of like what happened to the state trooper that got sucked in. Did he just put his hat down and walk away? He's stuck in this other, or did he get eaten or whatever?
Right. Yeah, there's certainly an element that the part of me that really wants more world building, of like, oh, I want this mystery to be explained, but you just see yourself reflected in Ned in that story, where you want the mystery explained, but there is no explanation for it, which a lesser writer that would come across as a major cop out. But somehow Stephen King makes that work. Because, like I said, I hate when stories do that.
Yeah, no, it's really disappointing in a lot of stories, and it wasn't that disappointing because he made it feel satisfying by the end. But yeah, like I guess part of me was like I would have liked more. But going into it, you had told me like they don't really explicitly explain a lot of things, so I was somewhat prepared. But I liked it, didn't love it, but I'm glad I read it for sure.
Cool. Yeah, definitely one of my that one is up there for me for King stories. But yeah.
Did you or do all of King's books tie into a universe? I know that some of them do. I know that like one of the like extra lore bits. I was like watching a video on about Pennywise, like he's something about the dead lights, and those are the lights you see in his mouth in the It movie.
I know there is.
Or is that all tied into like the Dark Tower stuff? Or,
I don't know. I know he's toyed with a through line through a lot of his books, but I don't know how explicit it is, or it's Stephen King, so he may just suggest it and then never come back to it. He's not a planner like like Brandon Sanderson, who has his whole thing mapped out.
right.
But I doubt there's something really findable there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I was thinking about the car, the way they described it is like the more you look at it, the more things are wrong. I was like, I want to just generate an image, an AI image of a car like this, and then, because I feel like when you generate AI images, there's always like the more you look
That's
at it,
interesting.
the
Yeah.
more something's fucked up, and like that was my picture in my head the whole time.
Yeah. That's an interesting way to think about it. Because I've had that a lot with AI images where, because your brain, human brain is so weird. Your brain will just fill in that everything is normal until you really start to look into it, and then, when you start looking into some of these AI images, they become horrifying sometimes to look at,
Yeah.
because what you thought was regular is so not.
Dude, yes. Yeah, like the multiple fingers, but even more than that, just like everything's so weird about AR. It's
Right.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But all right, well that's that book. I liked it, man. I mean, I am definitely down to read more King someday. I don't have a book recommendation yet, but next week I'll bring one. I just couldn't think of one.
Yeah, let's talk about it this week, and we'll set the next book club for 4 weeks from next week.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I probably want to find something that we think is going to be compelling.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to talk about video games now?
Yeah,
because I do.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm gonna start with Diablo. I don't know. I don't really know a lot about what the releases. Do you have any notes on the releases? Because for Summer Game Fest, will be more to talk about next week because there's going to be 2 or 3 more showcases, so we can kind of sum it all up. I saw that there was like a new Sonic game announced that looked fun.
The Path of Exile trailer.
Oh my
awesome.
god! Especially while we're playing Diablo and have so many complaints, dude. That game looks so fucking good.
Doesn't it look good?
What can you have a keen eye for Path for obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Was there anything that stood out to you about that trailer?
The movement was really interesting, and so I think from some of the leaks, leaks, they Gradier Games does an awesome job of controlling their content, and they will often let things out as if they were unintentional sometimes, just to tease people.
Yeah.
But the teasers for their games are awesome. But anyway, the character movement when they cast that lightning meteor, they had talked about this a while back, where there will be different weapon types, and it's unclear if it's going to be different weapon bases like currently exist, or if there will be some other way, like weapon type, like axes or whatever, like as a bigger genre, or bigger subclass of weapons that will provide any active skill gems a movement ability. So it'll be either a disengage, so like you will dodge backwards and throw. Yeah, based on the type of weapon, or you will engage and use the ability.
Gotcha.
You seem negative about that.
I don't like. So Diablo has a similar, not a similar thing, but it creates a problem that I don't like. So I'm playing a necromancer, and they're the only class that can use a scythe. But if you want to play optimally, you're not using a scythe because 2-handed swords are giving you critical strike damage, whereas a scythe will give you life on hit. And it's like, I don't want to be tied to a weapon type because of the bonuses it offers. I'd rather be able to take those bonuses and put them on a weapon I like. But I do like the idea of adding those things to weapons.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be tied in Path if you're using a specific, even for casters, you're going to be tied to weapons because you'll need to go Like if you're a caster and you want staffs, you want to go find the staff nodes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so like, and who knows how it's going to work out. If it is going to be staffs or if it's going to be like an actual weapon base type,
Mhm.
like a certain staff will have it engage and a certain other staff will have it disengage. But I like that they're adding those movement abilities in because one of the things that I really hope they get rid of in Path 2 is one, get rid of Quicksilver Flasks, and also significantly reduce the spamability of movement skills in that game. Because I want movement to feel more like Diablo 4. And I
Well,
want the game
minus
to
the
feel
lag.
slower. Yeah, minus all the negative, horrible shit about Diablo 4. I want the game to be a little bit slower like that, with us being able to then obviously have that power fantasy of growing stronger and
Mhm.
stronger and faster and faster. But in Path as it stands now, you're so fast from so early on that
It's crazy how fast you are in that game.
yeah.
It looks visually pretty dope.
Oh yeah, really cool.
And
And
I think Diablo looks pretty good. I
mhm,
know a lot of people are like, wow, it's the best. It's best. It's not really. It's okay.
yeah, it's fine. It's
Yeah.
above average.
Yeah. I think actually the in-game cutscenes are surprisingly good
Yeah.
because I don't know if they like upscale the models or use better versions of them, but they get real close to shit in that game in the in-engine cutscenes, and I'm like, wow, that looks pretty good.
By and large, the skill effects in that game are terrible.
Yeah, and then you'll run into I ran into a druid today, and they have this skill that's like they basically make a football field of rocks pop out of the ground, and it looks awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, why is my ultimate skill basically invisible? You know?
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
what skill I'm talking about?
I think that's just pulverized. That's not even an ultimate skill.
Yeah, it looks dope.
Yeah. The other thing I'm really excited about was Witchfire.
Yeah. What the game looks like Hellgate London? Is it anything to do with Hellgate London?
No, it is a first-person shooter roguelike.
Yeah, it looks good.
It looks incredible, and that fucking trailer. I'm so excited for that game.
You know, I realize like you don't like single player games, but you're fucking so into roguelikes.
Yeah.
I get it. They're
Yeah.
fucking good.
I
I didn't realize it was a roguelike. I've only just kind of
I didn't know either.
Yeah.
I had seen like the teasers from it from years ago. I mean, this has been in development for so long. But man, that trailer looked incredible. This is I cannot wait for this game. And this was like a game that was kind of mildly on my radar before.
Did it put a release date up?
I think it's like Q3 this year.
Okay, so somewhat soon.
Yeah, soonish.
Um,
I could be getting that wrong.
the Nick Cage is in game now.
What?
That was he showed up on stage and they're like, "Here's Nick Cage," and then Nick Cage was like, "Hi, I'm Nick Cage." It's weird. I think he's gonna be in Dead by Daylight. So
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
This is related to the upcoming showcase for Capcom, but they put up a Steam page for Dragon's Dogma 2.
Okay.
Dude, that's exciting. I hope they just like be like, hey, we're releasing it this year. That's why there's a Steam page, but probably not. It's probably more like big showcase. We want you to be able to wish list
Yeah.
it kind of thing. But damn,
Yeah. I get why games don't do this because marketing is so important, but shadow dropping games is so exciting to me.
yeah. When was the last big one that did that?
The last
Apex
one-
Legends?
Apex was the last one I
Yeah.
can think of, and that was cool. But they put all their marketing budget into paying streamers to play it, and that doesn't. I feel like that doesn't really work as well when it's not a multiplayer game.
You don't think so?
I would guess it doesn't work as well. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, I wish that there would be more of that.
Yeah.
It's always exciting when they're like, we have a demo right now. I think that was the other thing. They dropped the Lies of P demo, which
I did not
is
see
like
that.
it's a
is Lies of
Souls
P?
like. I want to say it's a Souls like. Is it the Souls like Pinocchio one or is it the Souls like just steampunk one?
Pinocchio.
Look up Lies of P. I'm confusing the two games, but Lies of Pinocchio. Lies of P is a Souls like that I think has a steampunk aesthetic. I don't think it's actually Pinocchio. I think there's another game that's Pinocchio-y, but I'm gonna download that demo and play it soon.
Okay.
I love when
find
there's
it.
demos from these shows. At least that's something. Like I can get
Yeah.
my hands on it.
Right.
But yeah, they did Fallout when Fallout 4 was announced the release date. That was like 4 months before it came out, and then on that day they dropped Fallout Shelter, which was a cool like. Here's something to get you ready
Yeah.
for Fallout. You know.
Right.
But yeah, the Xbox showcase is yet to come, and I really hope they show Fable. That's the one thing I'm waiting for.
There is going to be a new Fable game.
Oh, they've announced it.
I
All they've shown is like a teaser. It's literally just like panning down to a fantasy-looking world, and it says Fable.
did you like any of the Fable games past the first one?
Yes. I
Okay.
never finished 3. I thought so. In 2, they did a weird thing where they took away, like in the first game, they had cool armor, and in the second game, they were like no armor anymore, not a single set of armor.
Hmm.
You're just gonna have clothes.
I-
And then did you play the second one?
I don't even know if I must not have. I remember nothing about 2 and 3.
The end boss for Fable 2 is like this big build-up, and you get to the end boss, and you push him off a cliff, and that's it.
It's kind of awesome. I mean, that sucks, but
so stupid. But I did enjoy, like, as far as the world goes and how charming it is, love those games.
yeah.
And then
Yeah, I loved 1.
third one got a little crazy. It was a little bit more like you were like the king of a city,
Mm,
and you were building up your city. I never really finished that one, but
yeah.
first one was charming and good.
Is it still Peter Molyneux?
I don't think so. I think Peter Molyneux's gone.
Well, yeah.
That guy sucks.
Yeah, he just lied.
Well, he lies a lot.
Yeah, about everything.
Remember that one game where he was like, it was like the cube tapping game on your phone where like there was an app where there's just millions of these cubes. And
Oh, I do remember this.
yeah, and like you tap them and you break them, and whoever broke the last cube was gonna get a lot of money. And I think there's an active lawsuit still
Hmm.
because he just never paid the guy.
Yeah. It was something. Was it money or was it like you get to design something? I don't remember.
It was like he was like it's gonna change your life. You're gonna be the god of this
Oh,
game.
right.
Something like maybe that might have been. I might be conflating two games. Was it called Goddess?
Yeah. Oh man, I have to look this up.
I'm looking it up
'Cause
right now.
It was something like you would get to be the deity of this game I'm making, and then like you would be able to make all these choices for this world, and and then the choices that you ended up being able to make were like extremely minimal.
Okay, so there was a game called Curiosity Cube, and then it was a
This
game
was
where
the
you would tap the cube, and
tapping,
whoever tapped the last cube or broke the last cube would get to the prize was described by Peter Molyneux as nothing short of life changing by any description. And the prize ended up being that he would be able to be the goddess of the game Goddess, but then that just like never happened. And then they were like, well, if it does happen, it's going to be for like a max of 6 months. And then another player can overthrow you. And it's just like,
Oh my god.
it just like never happened. Really cool, Peter Molyneux. I'm glad he doesn't. I hope he's not making games anymore. I
Yeah,
hope he's
dude.
unhappy.
Yeah, the dude was
It's
a
fucked
fucking
up, man.
liar.
It's fucked up. Like it's one thing to be like, you're gonna live your life as this character in Fable. You're gonna grow from a tree's gonna grow from an acorn, and instead, like you play like an hour, and then it's just the future.
Right.
Years later, like what the fuck, bro?
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Okay. What was it?
Well, cool. We
Uh,
should check about what are we feeling about Mr. Diablo for?
Diablo's a bad game. It's not a good game,
Uh-huh.
but I'm still playing it
Hmm.
because the combat is addictive,
Oddly.
oddly addictive, even though it doesn't look that good. And we seem to be one of the few people who feel this way because people fucking love this game. And I don't get it.
It has so many problems. The one thing we should say is that like when we recorded the last podcast, we're pretty negative on it overall. Yeah. And then that night we pushed to World Tier 3. And then in World Tier 3, you get a bunch of sacred gear, which is like a humongous, like at minimum, like 50% to 100% to 200% stat boosts overall.
It was crazy.
And so your power exponentially increases. And getting all those drops that night, both me and you were like, oh my God, this game's really fun. We're having so much fun. This is a good game, good game, good game.
Mm-hmm.
And then like throughout the course of the week, we both kind of went on a roller coaster of like, oh, man, it's kind of slowing down. Oh man, this is not very fun. and yeah, like the combat is good, but like everything else in the game is kind of anywhere from mediocre to bad in terms of the end game.
The renown grind is boring.
Dude,
getting the altars is boring. And we were talking about this the other day. If that resets on a season,
I think it does.
I don't think I'll ever play this game again.
I don't know what to say.
Years.
I don't know what to say. Like it's a really poor design. So the thing is that in the game there's a renown grind. It's a renown track, and there's 5 levels to each zone. So say you get to level 4 out of 5 in one zone, you'll unlock the rewards for that for all your characters. Not including like for each character, if you do it, there's a little bit of XP and money.
Mm-hmm.
But the big rewards like skill points, like Paragon points, those are universal. But if you get to say rank 4 out of 5 and decide I really want to roll a new character, you go to that new character, you start at rank 1. So you have to go through the hours of grinding to get back to matching where you were before just to finish it up. It makes no sense.
Which is where I'm at. I'm really tired of playing my sorcerer, and I have 2 zones at 4 out of 5, and I don't want to finish that grind because I want to play my other class, but I need to. I need to go back and finish that.
Yeah,
doing it on my I'm not going to do it on my druid.
At the end of that grind is like you've done all the big things like strongholds and done the first round of dungeons, and like you'll run out of dungeons to do, and then you're like, I guess I'll do some story quests for 10 XP a pop.
Yeah.
Or side quests for 10 XP a pop. It's a bad grind.
Yep.
And I have not watched I couldn't find the dev interview this was from, but everyone on the subreddit was saying in the dev interview, they said characters are tied to seasons and the renown grind will be tied to seasons. I think the only thing that's going to carry over are altars of Lilith. But like the renown grind has skill points and Paragon points tied to it that are vital to having a min-max character. Or, you want those things for your character. You want the extra 10 skill points. And you also want the extra 10 Paragon points or 20 Paragon points. Because those are a lot. Those make a humongous difference in your builds.
Okay. If the altars carry over, that's less egregious to me.
Dude.
The renown grind is bad, but a not insignificant part of that is the altars.
I did all the altars in Fractured Peaks. It took me like 20 minutes.
What are you using to find? Because I feel like I'm looking at a map and it takes me forever to find that shit.
There's an interactive map where you can just have the ones up, and I just kind of compare the two and kind of go in a path between all of them, and it really is just running around that map for 20-30 minutes, and I had it done.
I guess I've been struggling with it because I keep looking at the map and looking at the end game map, and because the world is so indistinct and samey, and it's all just corridors and hallways, I lose. I'm like, wait, what am I looking at? I lose where I am, like going back and forth.
Yeah. So the thing I was doing was like when you zoom in on the interactive map, you get a really good idea of where it is.
Okay.
When you go to your map, set a pin,
and then you pin it. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
The pins are like the only way I can navigate that fucking map.
Okay.
Man, it was crazy getting like to level 40 before I discovered pins in that game. Such a nightmare to explore that map.
And the balance in this game is bad.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Yeah.
Some skills are so far and away above other skills that it's really hard to transition to try new builds.
Yeah. What were you saying about ice shards being like too good and the rest of them sucking?
Yeah, ice shards is so unbelievably overpowered feeling. It feels overpowered, but I'm not. Well, maybe not. It's so much stronger than the other builds, but I don't know if it's overpowered or if everything else is way undertuned. But I tried to make my own lightning build because I don't like following guides if I can help it.
Yeah, That's your thing. You like making builds.
Right. And it was terrible. So I was like, okay, I must have like be missing something or not understanding something. So then I went and followed I respected 2 other builds because I had all of this gear that I had been grinding for to play something other than ice shards. One was an arc lash build and one was a charge bolt build. And I took both of those builds into World Tier 4, which I was doing relatively easily on my ice shards build, and I couldn't kill a normal mob. I couldn't kill anything
In World Tier 4?
in World Tier 4. And then I went back to World Tier 3, and I was struggling to kill things. How can there be that much discrepancy in builds? It's wild.
Dude, I have a similar thing, but in reverse, where I've been playing a minion build where it's a build I found on Fextra Life, but I have like gear catered for that build. I have several pieces of ancestral gear, like probably 4 or 5 of the 10 that are all specced out, fully upgraded, and I was struggling in World Tier 4 a lot to do anything.
Yeah.
And so I decided just to like pick whatever like I had. The gear I put on has virtually no stats that I need for this build that I'd switch to. But I do have most of the aspects. I don't even have all of the aspects for it. Most of them, shitty gear, not upgraded. I am having an easier time with that than I was with my build that I had all the gear for.
Yeah.
And it's like Bone Spear is doing more damage than stacking all of my like dots and buffs for like a minute in just one click. It's crazy. And then like, the Bone Spirit is doing like hundreds of thousands of damage per hit. And it doesn't proc that often, but it's like when I do it on a boss, it's half the boss's health bar.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
The gulf between good and bad skills is it would be bad if it was like 20 to 30% power. It's like double or triple the power
Yeah.
between a bad skill and a good skill.
Yeah, there's just like no, like people would say like, oh, we'll just play a non-optimal build, but it's like it's not even as non-optimal. It's like not viable.
Yeah, it's you would have. I would need to grind. I would need to grind on a good build for a really long time to play the shitty build, which feels terrible because then you're like, well, fuck. Now I feel weak and shitty.
By the time you get to that point, you're gonna have, enough gear on the good build that you're gonna out damage the bad build by so much that it's like, why am I even switching?
Right.
Yeah, and I'm also at a similar point to you where I want to switch characters. Like I want to try Barbarian, but I don't want to do that before I finish the Renown grind because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to redo any of that stuff because I'm at 3 on all of them, obviously, because you need 3 to get all the skill points. But I'm at 4 on some of them. I have 5 on one, but I don't want to do that stuff again. It's a pain in the ass, and the second time through, you don't get the rewards because you've already done the dungeons, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. If they at least would have done maybe a huge chunk of XP on the second time completing a Renown to make it worth your time on an alternative character, like okay, that might be worth it because then you at least have an incentive to go do all those if it's a big enough chunk of XP because you need to level that character up anyway. But they just don't think through anything. There's no interesting ideas in this game.
Yeah.
Like anywhere.
Yeah, and I am really worried about this. If the seasonal model is like you're gonna have to re-roll every time, like it is not a fun grind to get to 50, or to get to World Tier 3.
No.
That story is not fun to go through. Even if you didn't have to do the story, like it's slow. It's like you don't feel powerful the whole time. Like
okay, so I will say, first of all, they should probably just remove Altars of Lilith if they're going to carry over. But whatever.
I think there's going to be new altars maybe too. Something I keep reading weird information that I haven't seen written down anywhere.
Having a lot of those unlocked and having all the baseline stats has made going through on a new character a lot faster.
Do you have all of them unlocked?
Well, no, not all of them.
I only have one region of all of them unlocked.
I probably still have a ton to do. But I think I might have over half of
Yeah.
them.
But, I mean, on the other hand, like I am having a lot of fun. Like when I tried the new build, it was right before you came over, and I was like, "Oh fuck, this is really fun," because it's powerful.
Yeah, it's fun to be powerful, but so few builds are powerful,
So few.
particularly on the classes that we're playing, Sorcerer and
Yeah, I think
Necro.
Necro is bottom of the barrel in terms of like everything.
Yeah, and Sorcerer is like Ice Shards is like one of the best builds in the game, but that's it.
Yeah,
There's hardly any other viable options, and most of like it. The thing that really frustrates me about Sorcerer is it doesn't really matter what build you're playing. You're using all the same base skills. You're going to use Flame Shield, you're going to use Ice Shield, you're going to use Teleport, and then you're the only other parts that change about your build is what your what your core ability is. But you always use all of those. Oh, and Frost Nova. So that's 4 abilities that you always will
4
use.
of the 6.
Yes.
And your generator doesn't really matter. I don't know if it does on yours, but
no. Well, I'm not even sure if it works. I don't think sorcerers. I think they just have mana regen. So,
dude,
and that's like every single sorcerer build. There's no variety in those builds.
so what's Druid? You rolled Druid. How far are you?
I think it got to like 36 or something.
It's pretty good.
So yeah,
How's it?
it's fun. The damage is it's really slowing down now, and
Ugh.
that's getting kind of a problem. I think I'm just gonna go back to World Tier 1, but
Yes.
I was blowing through World Tier 3 up until about level 30, or World Tier 2 up until about level 30. So that made it go pretty quick.
Okay.
But I have heard that Druid leveling is a little bit painful until about around level 50, when some of those aspects that make your builds really come together work.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of the Druid builds are based on having specific uniques, but when you do get them, they're like insane.
Right. Yeah.
But man, the unique drop rate fucking sucks. The drop rate for ancestral gear fucking sucks.
Yeah, it really does.
But
it's probably tuned around higher tier dungeons, which is.
But when you go to World Tier 3 in the open world, you're getting sacred items all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm getting so few ancestral items. And I'm close enough level. I'm 69. Like, I'm still getting so few items. I thought maybe it was a level thing, but
I think it's just all tuned around those higher tier dungeons.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Now it sucks that you're lower level because we can't run those. So I have to wait for you.
I'm going to catch back up.
I know you will. You fucking grind those games fast.
Catch up quick.
But Barbarian looks incredibly... Barbarian looks really powerful, too.
Yeah, Barbarian's really strong.
It makes me... I really want a Crusader, but it makes me think that, like, we already have 2 big melee characters. I don't think they'd put a third in, at least not immediately.
I know.
If ever. Even though that's my favorite fucking guy.
I want Paladin, dude.
Yeah. Crusader, Paladin,
Yeah.
kind of similar.
Yeah, I think so. There were, like, some differences, but yeah, I like that kind of class.
What's the Paladin like in Diablo 2?
It had the... all I remember was... I don't even remember what it was called in Diablo 2, but the spinny hammers. I like spinny hammers.
Yeah.
I also really... I mean, my 2 favorite classes from D3 were Witch Doctor and Crusader. So...
I didn't play Witch Doctor. Was it good?
Oh, man, I love Witch Doctor.
Was it a minion build? A minion class?
Yeah, it had minions.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're probably not going to get Witch Doctor.
Yeah.
Although, well, I guess maybe not. D3 had both. Minion, Witch Doctor and Necro. They just added it later.
Yeah, Necro was the later one. Crusader and Necro were the additional classes for that game. So what are we missing from? We're missing Crusader, obviously. We kind of have we don't have Witch Doctor. So Crusader and Witch Doctor are the ones we're missing from D3, really.
Mm-hmm.
We have Rogue instead of Demon Slayer, Demon Hunter.
One of those.
Yeah.
Probably not Demon Slayer.
Demon Hunter. Yeah, I don't know what we'd get, but I don't think it's gonna be for a while. Oops, is it you or me? Me.
It's you. Yeah, it's not gonna be for a while.
Hold on. Remember I was telling you a while ago that me and Brian use voice messages for things? How do I save it? I'm gonna save that.
Yeah, and you guys just send farts back and forth?
Not like all day, but
Oh.
like occasionally. Like I haven't sent him a fart in weeks, but that was the first one I got in a while.
Oh,
It's
that's pretty funny.
fucking funny. But I'm still gonna keep playing it. I haven't played anything besides it
Yeah, I mean,
in the past week. It's
Yeah.
pretty addicting. Even though like, man, like running around the world is so fucking laggy. Are we the only ones getting lag?
It cannot be. It's so bad. It is so bad.
Like you rubber band on a horse, it's just like hard freezes for a second
Yeah.
when you get to towns. It's
Yeah, you were having an extra bad time last night with the game. And no, I get it.
like I would click to a place to teleport to it. I would get to that place. I would start to walk up. My game would freeze, and then I accidentally clicked on the teleport or the portal, I guess. But there's no timer. If you click on that, you're fucking going, and that portal takes you back to wherever your last teleport was. So like, I was like, all right, let me just hit T and teleport. Oh, that's not where I needed to go. Like, let me do it again. And so many little mini
Yeah.
load times. I've like wanted to rip my fucking hair out, dude.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's so stupid.
But then like in a dungeon, there's no lag really.
Yeah.
But in the open world, there's fucking lag, dude.
hmm
Mega lag. And yeah, there's so many like bad things about it.
Yeah, I hate the open world.
But I want to like it. But like little things like you're doing a world event, like there's a Legion Horde event where it basically takes place in a stronghold kind of looking thing. And you're running around with a pack of other players. Like probably like every time I've done it, it's like 10 players.
hmm
But if you get more than like a few feet away from the players, they disappear and they go off your map. So like you can't see that they're there. You just have to like run close to them and then they're there again. So it's like it takes you out of the feeling of running around with a group of people because you're 10 feet away from them.
Right.
It's such a weird game. I hope it gets better. But I feel like we're at the place where like so many games come out. I'm like, I can't wait to see what this will be in a year. And I hate that.
Yeah, that seems to be for online games. Absolutely, that is the MO for most games. Play it like, oh, this game has promise. See if it's any good in a year when they actually finish the game
Hmm.
because they released it because they want money.
Yeah.
Because that's what we are. That's where we've been since early access came around. Was we just fund the last 25% of all development.
Or more, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the seasonal model isn't started until mid to late July, which is fucking. I'm not gonna play it. I don't think.
Yeah, I probably won't.
I don't think I'll be playing the game that long.
Mm.
And if it comes out and they're like, you can't use the character you've spent 100 hours in, you fucking idiot.
I was really excited to try some hardcore, but there's no way I'm redoing altars and renown.
No.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's Diablo. I think that's all I have to say about Diablo.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go keep playing it.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna just say nothing but negative things and keep playing it. It's such a weird game.
It's a weird game in that. Do I like it? Kind of. Is it a bad game? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I really like it. But and that like 20% of the time that I'm really liking the game keeps me through the 80% of the time that I don't like the game.
Yeah. Hopefully we can start doing World Tier 4 dungeons and grinding through those because that is the most fun. Getting new gear drops, and that will be the last. Like that'll be it because once we get
like one in-game dungeon, that's it.
That's it. Is there an end-game dungeon? I guess it's the one you have to deal with.
Yeah, I think there's like one boss.
It's pretty hard, right?
I don't know.
I heard people being like, "This is hard at level 100." So
Cool.
who knows if we'll even do that? But all right. Well, thank you, man.
All right. Thank y'all. Goodbye.